Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central. That's 12 noon to 4 p.m. We are here live. And in this short segment, the next segment, I wanted to first go over this FBI internal Quantico training video that they also distribute to police and to the now 400,000 strong domestic army force that is being reported on by the Progressive and the Hill newspaper. In fact, I'll show that again to everybody here on TV who's watching us at prisonplanet.tv. If you're a radio listener, just Google the term, the Pentagon wants authority to post almost 400,000 military personnel in the U.S. for domestic operations to, quote, engage the American people. And the Army Times first reported this last year as 20,000, well, first 4,000, then 20,000, now 400,000. And we cover this in the upcoming film, Camp FEMA. So this is happening. And when we broke the Homeland Security report and the Mayak report, the reason the police and a federal marshal in the other case sent it to us is they were so upset. They teach them in there the number one threat is gun owners and veterans. And that's true. You're not going to accept 80+% taxes. You're not going to accept all this tyranny. And so they knew they would sell you on Homeland Security in the name of foreigners or brown people using racism. But the whole time with the John Warner Defense Authorization Act, all of it, even under Bush, it was all set up, and the training manuals, we've been breaking these for years, were all about gun owners, conservatives, landowners, people that won't go along with this. So you wonder why when you go through the TSA, why you take your shoes off, why they only have liquids. It's an act of submission. Make you take your shoes off, an act of supplication. An act of answering questions. People who've never been asked questions, people who don't see themselves as criminals. This is teaching you you are a criminal. And in England, they now have squads that ask you questions on the side of the road. It's happened to me. It's happened to the Watson brothers who work for us, who live in England. It happened to a Wall Street Journal writer, Sarah McBride, who was here. She repeatedly had them come up and ask her, you know, if she was bad. This is about letting you know that you live in East Germany. So we have all of that going on. But I want to just play this tape and go through how it creates this atmosphere of fear. You know, the one lady they talked to, she's photographing a dam. She's a terrorist. She's got scuba gear. It turns out she's guilty, but they're going to let her go and put her in the terrorist database. Okay? And this local officer is going under federal control in this video. He's now part of this federal/global Interpol system. So there's all these different layers to this. And now you wonder why I mean, I've been in D.C. I challenge anybody. You go to D.C., you're 200 yards away from the Washington Monument, videotaping it. They come over and say, turn your cameras off. There's no law. We just think you might be a terrorist. And they harass Boy Scout troops and tourists. It's about letting you know that you're a slave. It's about breaking your back. It's about letting you know you're dominated. It's about letting you know you live in a police state. Local San Antonio news tried to go down to the new NSA base, taking over the internet. Quote, killing the internet to save the internet. And the feds come off base and threaten to arrest them and grab their camera. This is the new America, where the military runs your life just like Guatemala or Nazi Germany. Bill would give presidency emergency control over the internet and create a new group of private IT officials that work for the government. Just like under InfraGard, with the FBI recruiting 55,000 executives with shoot-to-kill orders over their employees. And they now are going to control the private networks, and so you can't have a network unless the Imperium, the commissariat, the political police give you the authorization. And all this national news has been calling for my arrest and for people putting up Obama posters saying fascist or socialist. You know, here's the local paper outside Austin, Freedom of Hate Speech. And they say there's not a law against putting these up in Hays County, but there should be. Alex is evil. See, this is the new Sovietization. So we're going to go to break and come back and play most of this little 13-minute training video. I'm going to stop and make a few comments during it. Then I'm going to get into a full breakdown of how the feds operate, how the globalists operate, how they're demonizing militias, how they're infiltrating militias, how they're creating militias, which then the feds direct to do violent things. They find unstable people. We're going to explain the MO of purely provocateur staged events by the feds and private mercenary groups we know they're using, and foreign governments are also here in the U.S. Israeli and British intelligence have been caught involved. We told you years ago Cheney had private hit teams in the U.S. Now it's been declassified because this current CIA director doesn't want to go to prison for it. And we're going to walk through how in every case, when they find out that an entire Klan group is founded and run by the feds, every white supremacist group run and founded by the feds, this is to radicalize political discourse inside the United States and to get us all infighting with each other. And I want to warn the feds that are part of this and the private mercenary groups that are part of this. You're going to be hung out to dry by your bosses, just like Hal Turner, who they admit was their informant, but now they're sending him to prison for making the threats too loud and too bold. They will set you up just like Lee Harvey Oswald and Tim McVeigh. This is Alex Jones. Have you heard of the Millionaire Patriot? Well, you should. He has a free handgun and 5 days of firearms training waiting for you. That's right. You can attend 5 days of world-class gun training at Front Sight Firearms Training Institute and secure a 30-state concealed weapons permit, all for pennies on the dollar. Plus, if you act fast, the Millionaire Patriot will give you a free Springfield Armory XD pistol in the caliber of your choice. I believe now is the time that you and your family need to be armed and trained to levels that exceed law enforcement and military standards. Front Sight provides such training without any boot camp mentality or drill instructor attitudes. This is real. Don't miss out. Secure a Front Sight defensive handgun course, plus a 30-state concealed weapons permit for pennies on the dollar, and get your free handgun. Go to frontsight.com today. That's FRONTSIGHT.com. Go to frontsight.com for your training and free gun.
And if things don't change soon, he will. For man has invented his doom. First step was touching the moon. Now there's a woman on my block. She'll just sit there as the night grows dim.
Okay, folks, we are live again here on the radio, simulcasting at prisonplanet.tv. And we've got the folks here from HDNet TV. And I guess this is for their show, World Report. So we'll plug that coming up. When in September? September 29th. Yeah, I can turn this around, start interviewing you, but you don't want to be on camera. Don't put her on camera unless she wants to later.
It's okay.
Okay, we'll put her on camera. In fact, we would have set one up if we knew you were going to be in here.
Hank?
This is Hank.
How you doing?
And you are, ma'am?
My name's Carol McKinley.
Carol McKinley. You sure are nice. My mom's name's Carol, so I'm kind of partial to women named Carol, yeah.
Where's your mom? Is she in Austin?
She's here in Austin, yeah.
Oh, hi, Carol. So Carol Jones, huh? Likely.
I'm sorry, they're popping in telling you to talk in the microphone. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
I apologize. Go ahead and start over.
So Carol Jones, likely last name, Alex. Sure, Jones. What's the real last name?
My name really is Jones, but I've had longtime friends that have been like booking me plane tickets, and they go, okay, is Jones really your name? Yes, my name's really Alex Jones.
Well, it's good to be here. Thanks for letting us come in. I guess you don't usually let reporters come in?
I don't have as much as I used to. Well, I mean, here's an example. Well, the Wall Street Journal wanted to come for a couple days, and as a big writer, wanted to do a front-page story. And I told her, I said, if this isn't a hit piece, her name was Sarah McBride, I said, it's not going to be published. And she said, no, they always publish my stories. I'm one of their big writers. And I said, okay, just watch. I'm going to do this to teach you how it really works. And also she called Ted Anderson that owns the radio network I'm on, and Ted's like, come on, let her talk to you. So she came here, and I stopped for a day or so, talked to her, and then she wrote the piece, and they came back and said, change it again. They said, you know what, we're not giving Alex Jones any attention, because the mainstream media has figured out, even if they lie or spin or attack us, because the piece really wasn't a very friendly piece. It wasn't a negative piece, but it was fair, as they'd call it. It had some negative things in it. Even negative stuff, just people actually find out what we're really doing instead of what fake image was put out. Because the mainstream media has so little credibility, in my experience, the big dominant channels. But that's why I did do the interview, because I know Mark Cuban, according to the New York Times, I knew about it behind the scenes, but had just heard a little bit, talking to Charlie Sheen at the time. He was going to put out the loose change final cut. And suddenly he was getting threats from the Securities and Exchange Commission, phone calls, emails, saying, we're going to put you in jail for this loose change thing. So then they dug up that he'd sold a tiny amount of stock or something and indicted him. And he said, I'm not going to go along with this. I'm going to fight you. This is political. And then he released the emails of them threatening him. And I think the people that did that should go to jail. So I'm saying that's why, I mean, I'm sure it'll be a 50-50 piece. I know Mark does all kinds of stuff, and he doesn't control what all his people do. But my point is I'm doing it because it is HDNet just to see what happens. But, yes, we do turn down a lot of TV because we can have them in there for 10 hours, and they'll just show the one time I, rub my nose or something. or they'll zoom in on a coffee stain on the carpet or something. I mean, that kind of theater of the mind thing they do with the language of film. And so that's what's going on. But instead of me ranting at you, I do want to get into the militia analysis. Carol, anything you want to say to the audience out there?
Well, we're doing a story on the resurgence of the militia, and I haven't found yet that that's really happening. I mean, we know that on the Internet. I'm seeing a lot more on the Internet. So you're our first interview. And we're going to Michigan in 2 weeks, and so right now I'm just gathering as much information as I can.
Michigan's good, but it's a giant nest of federal operations. I mean, you're probably going to be talking to, I would say 9 out of 10 people that are going to come out and want to talk to you are going to be either federal informants or special forces operators.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So we should watch out.
No. I mean, they're going to act like clowns for you. So, I mean.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.